We did a lot of sports. There was a big sporting ground, and it was also a sort of a university. So many of our reserve officers had professions of academic degree, and then we had courses in military tactics, even in military history, in different languages, in law. I don't know, it was more. So we were very busy, and escaping was not out. They escaped. Just to keep the Canadians busy so that they couldn't send too many troops over to Europe, and to take in the air of freedom for some few days. It were not more than few days, because the mounted police of Canada was very good. And when we were brought in, I was also once out, we were brought in, again 4 weeks calabush. I remember yet one camp commander, he was not very happy, because when prisoners of his camp were escaping too much, that was not good for his career. I was brought in by a lieutenant and 2 men. And these men were half-castes, Indian white half-castes. And they were trigger happy. And they had us 2 in the middle, and the man in the rear always begged his lieutenant in the front that he might take a good shoot on us. And said, "Sir, give me a chance." But sir didn't give a chance. And again, "Sir, give me a chance." And I had an ice-cold feeling in my rear. So we were brought in. Yeah, but the commander, he said, "Now we have you back, old boy. Good fun, huh? 4 weeks calabush." 4 weeks calabush.
And did you get information and news from Germany?
Yeah, after a while, the mail was established. So per month you had special forms, it was. You had 2 postal cards and 1 letter, which you could fold to write. And then out of this camp, called Grande Ligne, near Montreal, it was, a good part of us were railwayed to the west, and we came into a camp in the high Rocky Mountains. And we were seeing at far in a mountain camp. And we had told the Canadians that when a German officer gives his words, best in writing, then it will be held. And so at last they allowed us to do promenades into the mountains. Say for 5 hours per day, you went to the guardhouse, you signed a sermon that during these 5 hours you wouldn't take up contact with civilians, you wouldn't escape, you wouldn't, things like that. And then we could do what we wanted, 5 hours in the free field. Yeah, we could subscribe papers. We were reading the New York Times and Washington Times and a Canadian paper. And then we had our secret receiver, which had been built by, there was a trade with a watchman. For instance, a watchman needed a repair of a watch or a repair of something like that. And this was done in the camp. And then he had to supply elements for the receiver. So it was built together after a while. And so we could hear our propaganda minister, Dr. Goebbels, and something like that. And also German news. So we had both news.
They were both different.
Yeah. But the New York Times was very fair then. They were publicizing the war reports of all the warring parties, of the Germans, of the English, of the Japanese, of Russians, side by side on a big page.